Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 4, 2021, the Chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Roy, for 30 minutes.
Thank the Speaker. I'd like to thank the gentleman from Pennsylvania for his service to this country. We should all be down here engaging with our colleagues more often to learn more about them. Did not know that about your father. God bless you. Godspeed. Thank you for serving in this chamber. Madam Speaker, much has been made in the last week over the actions of two governors, in particular Governor Greg Abbott of the state in which I live and where I'm a congressman, Texas, as well as the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. Much is being made of the fact that these governors transported certain individuals who had come to this country and were released into this country by this administration, I believe contrary to law, I believe in direct violation of both the text and the spirit of the law, that they were released into this country by the thousands. So Governor Abbott of Texas, Governor DeSantis of Florida, transported some of these individuals to particular locations. Now, it was very clear that they did so in significant part to make a point. And that point is that our states are bearing the brunt of an administration's policies that are purposefully allowing our border to be operationally controlled by cartels to the detriment of the American people. That's what's happening. So kudos to Governor DeSantis, kudos to Governor Abbott for bringing to light a problem which is being ignored by the leftist press that refuses to bring the truth to the American people. So 50 people get transported to Martha's Vineyard and the entire wine and cheese circuit loses their collective mind. Oh no! What have you done? Oh, cries of politicization of human beings, using them as pawns. But who is it who are using these individuals as pawns? Could it be my colleagues on the other side of the aisle or the people in this administration that are leaving our border wide open such that 53 human beings died in a tractor trailer in San Antonio, which I represent? So which is it? Which is worse? 50 people being sent to Martha's Vineyard to bring attention to a problem so that all of these Americans on Martha's Vineyard could put their glass of wine down and put their cheese plate down and suddenly recognize that there are literally thousands of people being distributed into our country every single day by this government and by non-governmental organizations. Every single day. My colleagues do nothing about it, and 53 human beings died in an oven that was a tractor trailer, and my Democratic colleagues don't say a daggum word. Nothing. But they sure say something when suddenly 50 show up to Martha's Vineyard, and then everybody gathers around for a photo op and brings some sandwiches and pat themselves on the back for their grand compassion because, oh, we're enlightened leftists in Martha's Vineyard. We love everybody. So we're going to bring sandwiches, and then we're going to call the National Guard and say, haul them out of here. That's the truth. But where's everybody talking about the 53 human beings that died in that tractor trailer in San Antonio, Texas? One example of the thousands. There is a cemetery that has been created in South Texas with PVC crosses for bodies of migrants pouring across the Rio Grande in South Texas. That's what's happening to these people, getting sold into the sex trafficking trade, being abused by cartels, bodies littering ranches, dying in the Rio Grande River, dying in trucks. Here in Washington, D.C., while the mayor of D.C. complains about, oh, we're now a border city, or the city councilwoman who said, well, we don't have the infrastructure for this. Well, welcome to the party. Because that city councilwoman declared D.C. a sanctuary city. That city councilwoman called for the abolition of ICE. And prior to the individuals being delivered to D.C. by Governor Abbott to the steps of the vice president who's supposedly in charge of securing the border, but can't find her way to the border if you give her a map and a plane ticket to get there. 73 human beings were found in the nation's capital in a stash house right here within a couple of miles of this building, 12 of whom were kids. Where are my Democratic colleagues? Burying their head in the sand because it's not politically expedient to acknowledge that open borders results in dead migrants, dead Americans, empowerment of cartels, empowerment of China, and a danger to the American people and our national security, while almost 100 individuals associated with terrorist countries or terrorist organizations have now been apprehended coming across our border, not even dealing with the million people that were gotaways. Now, I've given this speech so many times, but I keep having to update it. I keep having to come down to the floor and talk about what's happening in Texas, what's happening to our people. Now let's talk about what's happening to Americans. The faces of the individual and the lost voices of people who have died from fentanyl. I showed these to the Secretary of Homeland Security, and he scoffed. 72,000 lost voices, 72,000 dead Americans in 1 year. More than we lost in the entirety of the Vietnam War. Right here. Where are my colleagues on the other side of the aisle? Where is the President of the United States? These individuals are dead. Their mamas found them in their house dying and trying to resuscitate them, and they left their home in a body bag because they took a pill that was laced with fentanyl that was cooked up in the backyard of a cartel, fentanyl coming in from China, and they're dead. That's what's happening, and my Democratic colleagues are nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found.